Hello everybody, I'm Steve Poole and welcome to Frontrunners. Well, we're going to get things started tonight by journeying to Kendall, Florida to meet an amazing woman. Camille Geraldi has 26 children, 2 biological teenagers of her own, but it's the other 24 kids who are the subject of our story. And what a story it is.
Why are you giving us a hard time? You have to lie down today. And look at that nose. Lie down. Lie down. What's the matter with you? Tell me what's wrong. Get your fingers out of your mouth, first of all. Christopher Geraldi, you just wait. Excuse me? You're going in the potty here. You can use this one. Right now. And you don't act up like that. Mommy does not really appreciate it, okay?
Perhaps you were expecting someone soft, gentle, and outwardly emotional. Not Camille Geraldi. She barks out orders like a drill sergeant. Her love is tough. Perhaps because for most people, these kids are tough to love.
Right now I have 26 children, and the youngest one is 5.5 months old, and the oldest one is 16. Every child that I chose to take into to my family, and my husband and I decided together, was that they would have to be almost non-compatible with life. We wanted the sickest of sick, and that they would be handicapped. What are you grabbing for? Huh? Are you going to talk to Mommy?
Camille Geraldi has always been drawn to children who are shunned by almost everyone else. These kids have severe heart defects. Some have neurological disorders. Most have Down syndrome, or a combination of impairments. Many have little chance for survival.
This baby, look at her, here's my voice. This baby has no brain, and she's a microcephalic, so her skull is very small and it won't grow. It's amazing, isn't it? So if you get that, that's all you may get from these children for a lifetime, but that's enough for me. Because at least they respond, they listen. If I didn't have that, I guess I'd be in big trouble, but I have at least that, so. And they all respond. I believe when people do this type of work, it's not something you choose. I think it's almost like a vocation. It's something that you're born with. And ever since I was little, I can remember wanting to work with people and children that were less fortunate than myself.
To help care for her brood, Camille has hired 10 full-time employees. Eunice Lopez has worked as a child care supervisor for 2 years.
It's not easy. It hurts, you know. But it feels better when I go home. You know, when I go home, I feel great. You know, when I'm here, it feels great too, you know. But after I go home, then I can let it all out. I just can't do it in front of the kids. Because that's not helping them, that's hurting them.
Are you home? What a big boy!
As if caring for the needs of 24 special kids weren't enough, a hurricane named Andrew blew through southern Florida, leaving the Geraldis' 2-house complex in shambles. 6 months later, as repairs continue, half the kids are still living in this trailer parked in the front yard.
And when we walked out that morning, our lives were changed, and it was funny because you thought, in 3 days we'll get it cleaned up and the house will be fine, and in 3 days more ceilings were caving in and more walls, and we lost everything. We lost 87% of everything that we worked. For me, I worked 28 years for. I lost it all in 2.5 hours.
But it would take more than a hurricane to dampen Camille's spirits. Luckily, the family escaped injury, and daily life is slowly returning to near normal. But normal for this family is something else.
Normally, diapers cost me about $1,100 a month. Milk, you know, runs several $100s a week. Food is very expensive. My food bill is probably around $3,000 a month.
Imagine changing 240 diapers a day. Or how about doing 55 loads of laundry, using 7 giant tubes of toothpaste, or going through 30 loaves of bread every week? It all adds up to a whopping $350,000 a year. And while we're on the subject of kids not necessarily being cheaper by the dozen, this might be a good time to introduce Camille's husband, Dr. Michael Geraldi.
You ready for bed?
Michael, he's a saint. Not me. I've always been meant to do this, you know, but Mike's really a special person. I mean, here's a man that's a physician that could have had anything he wanted, could have had a house with a yacht in the backyard, and instead gave all the money he earned to me to allow me to adopt children, because the adoptions have cost us between $6,000 and $10,000 a child.
What? I look at her as a multi-complex personality that all gets put into one big package that they call Camille. But it's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible to me, and I've lived with her for 20 years.
Michael claims he knew what he was in for when he married Camille. He knew her mission in life was to care for sick children. But even he was surprised at her tactics 5 years ago when she adopted their 5th child, Mariah.
He said, I just don't think it's a wise idea. I said, okay, fine. And what I did was I forged Mike's signature and I signed all the adoption papers, and I went and picked her up and brought her home, and I said to Mike, I just want you to meet your black daughter, Mariah. And I couldn't believe I did that, and you know what, I knew in my heart that Michael would be excited when I brought her in here and we went into the family room, and he came home from work and I was holding our new daughter, Mariah, and my husband started to cry, and that's when he said, we're on a roll. And I said, that's it, Mike, this has been my dream. He said, okay.
I wish I had a little red box to put my Kyle in. I take him out and Kyle!
To Camille Geraldi, the small victories are big victories. Even when her children are grown, they'll always be children. But they won't be hidden away as if they're society's rejects. Camille will see that they live full lives, living an even fuller one herself along the way.
I think that because they've been given these challenges in life, you know, that it makes it a little more difficult for them, but to see them become somebody is the greatest thing. Or to see a child that I lived in a hospital with for 2 years because they had so many medical problems, but had that fight to live, and 2 years later, as they're 4 and 5 years old, do so well, that's really an honor because I know I helped them get there.
I take her out and
Camille says there is a good reason she is able to understand handicapped children. For 40 years, she was grossly overweight, and as she lived with the handicap of all that weight, she learned to have faith in and believe in the inner self, and that is what she teaches her children. By the way, she and her husband have set up a foundation called Up with Down Syndrome to help cover the cost of raising all those kids.